I agree with you. Kava, right? Some caution, but look at this. ADX. So the week last week started on the 3rd, right? So this is Monday, and I'm looking over here, right? So follow my cursor. Just keep an eye on that, right? So this is the 3rd. So that's Monday, and then we closed Friday. So at 23, we started with an ADX. Friday, we closed with a 23.43 ADX. So the ADX moved higher. That just means the strength of the move is increasing, right? And then you have your positive and negative here divergence with the ADX in the middle. This is very positive. I've mentioned this before when both of these are trending above their SMA, positive and negative volume. That's very good. Momentum here, very strong. This is your relative vigor index. This is also very high. That's very good. Now we're looking at weekly, right? So this is the weekly chart. Let's go to daily first, because the daily is what you mentioned, right? That decline in CADO. I agree, man. I agree. I'm watching that, but it's not good because you got that weighted moving average declining, right? That green line. And that's the first decline since I see going back, right? So it's interesting. It's also notable, but it's also elevated. So, the first dip on a CADO, when it's elevated like this and you have a lot of strength, typically can get back around. But, you also have your chalk and money flow right here, which is supply, kind of like buying pressure, right? And you're peaking on buying pressure here. Like if we go out 5 years, right? Here we are on the chalk and money flow. You typically don't get that much higher, but when the stock typically performs very good every time it's up here. Except here you had a test and an immediate withdrawal. It's a little bit different. Here we get a test and we're maintaining above it. So I think that's notable. See, here we test, but we maintain above it, and the stock rallies. Even though CADO, look at that decline. But look at this. So it's holding together right there. And then you also have on balance volume a little bit lower than its SMA. That could bounce right back. But, some caution here. I think you're right. But then when you go to the weekly, it looks great. Look at this. We get 2 weekly closes above its momentum 7 SMA, which is very good. The 50-day right here, the yellow line, it's declining, but not anything dramatically. I like to see it inclining. Like, look at this, how easy that is. Everything's perfect. Look at a CADO. So when you go to the weekly CADO, it looks very favorable, right? And I think that's encouraging, especially since the weighted moving average is now positive. So I see that good. And then you look in your chalk and money flow. So you got some positive differences here. So the pink is a lagged average, right? So I like to see this big bump here. That should bring in the pink maybe this week, which is going to be the weighted moving average for chalking, and that just helps support the move. So that's encouraging. And then here, there's a lot of things to be said. As you know, when we come back in that pink band, that's reason for caution, right? But let's look at what happened when we came back in our Keltners, because I went over this, and this is what ultimately makes me confident. So we need to have volume in here. It should be. So a lot to be said here, right? Big day, big volume day. Very notable. That's support, right? So immediately go in. Let's do our little support line. So that support got tested, bounced right back above it on the first test. That's very good. And you also closed above where this trading range was. So that's a lot of confidence in that support, a lot of momentum. And then you closed above the next day on less volume based off this support. So that's encouraging. And then down here, you had this test. Thankfully, you had an increase in volume. On test, you want to see an increase. That's just interest. We never tested support, which is good, right? We tested the breakout of this support, right, coming out. It's not too much of any support here, but it's notable that the high is 138.52. We closed on Friday at 138.40, so higher than the full day's range here. And I think that's very encouraging. So you can buy the stock here, right? Well, I'll buy it. And this is where I find my stop. So I'm going to use this. So 135.75. So if the stock closes below 135.75 today, I'm out, and that's the trade for me. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to buy it at the open, not anything too aggressive, because I think like you said, there's some cautions. You got Cato declining for the first time in the whole move, and then you also have a close within Keltner. So we'll see.